Today I'm going to talk to you guys about someone with a can-do attitude. I personally like to believe that I have a can-do attitude about things. I like to get stuff done. Stuff that needs to be done, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to let anything stand in the way of me doing it. And if I feel like I can do it, I'm not going to let someone tell me no, that I can't do it, and just, stop. So, I'll give you an example. For example, something happens to my phone and, my phone bill goes up for the month, and I know it just doesn't seem right. So I call up Verizon and I'm like, hey, why is my phone bill so high? And they're like, oh, you went over your data by 6 gigs. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, normal people would be like, oh, that was me, I was bad, that was stupid, okay, I'm done. And they hang up and they pay the overage, and they're just, you know what, I totally messed up, I shouldn't have done that. Well, I'm the kind of person where I'm like, I know that I can do something about this, and I'm going to. I'm not going to just sit here and just take it just because, oh, I'm overage 6 gigs. So I called up Verizon. I told them, listen, this was a complete accident. It wasn't something that we meant to do. It was just, it was an accident. And I feel like there was some way that they could help us. And, we're loyal customers. We've got 9 lines and 10 gigs of data, and it's not like we're cheap people. We pay a lot of money every month, so the least they could do is help us out a little bit on that overage cost. So they set us up with a higher plan that only raised the bill by $30, and then they gave us a $15 account credit to make up the difference, kind of give us half off of that upgrade. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. If the first person who told me that I had overage and that was pretty much it, ended up hanging up on them, or not really hanging up, but, ending the call and saying, okay, thanks for your help, whatever, bye. And, calling it quits. Normal people would have just called it quits and went on and not continued. And I continued. I called back. I got with a different department. I worked out an account credit. So that's exactly what I was looking to do, and it worked out best. So, so that's why I personally feel like, that's one of the many reasons why I personally feel like I have a can-do attitude about things. And I always like to deal with people who have a can-do attitude. I like problem solvers. If I call a company with some sort of an issue, I want them to offer up different options for me to get the problem resolved. I don't want to sit here and have to figure it out myself. I don't want to guess, because I don't know how many of the systems work, and it's best if they help me do it. So I'm going to give you a little story that I dealt with not long ago that just kind of, it's a guy with a can-do attitude, and I like that. So my lane's about to end. Sorry. I had to get around everybody there. So I went to Enterprise and I rented a 2013 Chevrolet Impala, and I was going to take it on a vacation. And I noticed that it had a couple of electrical, mechanical, I don't know what you call them, issues when I first picked it up. And I didn't really notice the issues until after I had filled the tank up with gas and was ready to go. And so I called up Enterprise, the local Enterprise, and at the time it was being ran by a guy named Sean. And I talked to Sean. I told him about the issues that I was having with the car, and I told him, we really need to get these issues fixed before I start out on my trip, because I don't want to get down, at the beach and then the car mess up and I have to deal with that. So, I told him whatever we need to do, if I could take it to a shop or whatever. And Sean was like, you know what, I'm not going to be able to get this car fixed before you leave, and because I was leaving the very next day. And he's like, rather than us worrying about this car messing up, let me just swap you into another car, and you can take it instead. And I'm like, okay, well that's good, but I've already filled this one up and I don't want to lose all my gas. And he's like, okay, well, I'll fill up the new car and I'll just give it to you and you return it on empty, no problem. I'm like, okay, that works, perfect. I got to know Sean from that experience. I got to talk to him a little bit, and we became, acquaintances, I guess you would say. So when I came back to Enterprise to rent another car, Sean hooked me up with a free upgrade. No questions asked, no bull crap. You know, I just walked in, I had reserved a full-size car, and Sean's like, let me just put you in a GMC Yukon. I'm like, okay, that works perfect. And actually what had happened was, whenever I went to go pick the Yukon up, someone had reserved it. Now, I didn't reserve the Yukon because it was a free upgrade from a full-size car. So I couldn't actually get that Yukon. He put me in this truck that I'm driving right now, which was nearly 2 months ago. And, you know, I was really happy with what I had. I was happy with Sean and the experience that I had with him, and everything was working perfect. And I had a friend in the business that if I ever needed a vehicle, he could hook me up, and that was going to work perfect. And I couldn't ask for a better situation. About 2 weeks after I picked this truck up, Sean was promoted and moved to a different location where he became the manager of that location. And that bugged me because I really didn't want to have to get to know a new guy. I didn't want to have to, you know, get on the same page with the new guy and try to work out free upgrades and, you know, stuff that I felt like I would have gotten if Sean was still there. You know, Sean kind of helped me feel entitled to these things, I guess. Rather than me just walking in and saying, here, I'm going to pay full price for this car, you know, he helped me feel entitled to a free upgrade or whatever it is that I might actually get. So, it really ticks me off that he isn't at that location anymore. So, first thing you got to do, you got to try and go in and meet the new guy and get on the same page with him about everything. And that seemed like it was going to be hard in itself. So I met the guy and just kind of gave him, you know, a little brief description of how me and Sean used to do things, and just, you know, how it had went thus far, and hopefully he could continue to hook me up with good deals and good rates and you know, whatever. So Thursday we have to go to a softball game for my sister, and it's actually quite a drive from home. So far we had been taking 2 vehicles. We'd been doing my stepmom's car, which is just a Ford Escape, and then this truck that I had rented. And that's really, it's I mean, for the amount of people we have going, it's kind of unreasonable to take 2 vehicles, but we don't have a car that seats more than, say, 5 or 6 at one time, so it's not possible for us to all get in one car. If I had gotten the GMC Yukon like they had promised me, then I wouldn't have that issue because it has 3 rows of seats. That would have worked perfect. So I was going to look into the option of getting the Yukon, because, you know, he had promised me it at first, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. And this is where I really get bugged about the whole can-do attitude thing, because when I called up Enterprise today and I let them know that, listen, you know, I was told I could get this Yukon, but it got reserved. If you've got it now, I would like to get it because we could really use it. And the guy wants to charge me the upgrade from the truck to the car, which I don't think he even understood that I was already on a free upgrade from a full-size car. I'm paying the price of a full-size car for a Ram 1500. And so, you know, upgrading me from that to, I don't know how much that would be. That's possibly $200 to $300 more per week if he charges me the upgrade. And he wasn't very clear. He said he could hook me up, but then he's like, oh, you know, well, you're going to have to pay the upgrade. And I'm like, well, how are you hooking me up if you're going to make me pay the upgrade? It just wasn't clear to me, and I didn't really understand what he was saying. So, anyway, he took down my name and phone number. He's going to call me back if he actually gets a Yukon in, because he doesn't have one. He made out like he had one the entire time, and then we got to talking, he didn't even have one. So, that's the runaround kind of attitude that I don't want to have from someone, especially Enterprise, a company that, not for people like me, wouldn't be in business, because I've had this truck for nearly 2 months, and if they're able to put me in a Yukon, I'll rent it for at least another week because we need it to go to these ball games. And it's just, I can't stand someone who has a can't-do attitude. And this guy, is a perfect example of someone with a can't-do attitude. He didn't want to, or he made out like he had the car, but he didn't want to give me the free upgrade, and then he comes back, oh, I don't even have the car, but if I get it, I'll call you. It's like, dude, why are you wasting my time? I don't even know why. And the issue is, I don't think I actually had the local office. I had a city about 40 miles away's office, because they were the ones that gets forwarded the calls whenever the guy in the local office goes out. So anyways, that's my experience with Enterprise and someone with a can't-do attitude, and it just bugs me. And so yeah, this guy in front of me, I don't know if you noticed in the first of the video, but when I passed those string of 3 cars, he was one of them. So he came up and grabbed the right lane when you're not supposed to go straight in the right lane, and he went straight to get in front of everyone. And now, well, actually now he's kind of going pretty good. I was going to say now he's not hardly moving on interstate, but actually he was going about 78 when I looked down. So I'm going to set my cruise to 75 and move on. Anyways, I will see you guys later.